All right. Good evening once again. Please confirm my audio if you can hear me. Think you should be able to hear me.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay. All right. So, welcome to day 2 and also the final section on mastering Microsoft Excel for record management. I also want to welcome you to Digitech Zeal. All right, so in our last class, basically was introduction. What we tried to achieve in that section was to give us a solid background on what Microsoft Excel is all about as an office application software. So if I could remember in that section, we talk about the definition. We defined Microsoft Excel as an office application software mainly used for collecting and managing data. They also expanded it to for data analysis and for other purposes. And then we also talk about probably how to access it on the system, though we did not really pay more attention on that aspect because I assume that majority of us should know how to access applications in our system. However, we'll still look at it somehow in case nobody come across this video. Then we also took our time to familiarize ourselves with the interface or what I call the Microsoft Excel windows, where we took our time to explain the various features that makes up Excel environments. And then we started identifying them one after the other. Started with the application title bar. We look at the ribbon section, which is traditionally called the menus or the tabs. Then we talk about the worksheets. Then we recognize the components that makes up a worksheet, such as the columns, the rows, and the insertion pointer, the active cell, and the rest of them. And I told us that in our next section, which is this, our focus is going to be on data entry. So we are focusing on data entry, Now, data entry is an essential part of Microsoft Excel. In other words, is one of the highly demand skill from every Excel user. You are expected to understand how to compute values on Microsoft Excel worksheets, which we have explained in the last section. And that is going to be our focus. But we are going to start by understanding what do we mean by data entry. It's very important. So I'm going to walk us through some theoretical aspects of tonight's section before we dive into the practical. That will enable us to understand what we are going to be doing in that practical session. Now, what is data entry? We all know that data are raw facts or information that can be processed before usage. But in this context, it's still the same thing. We can as well say that we want to impute value. We want to collect input from users into the Microsoft Excel sheets. And like I told us, there are 3 sets of skills that we shall be exposed to in the course of data entry. The first one is that we understand the logic behind how to impute data directly in the worksheets. And then we will also understand some tools called data transformation or data formatting function. So which means that we are also going to learn how to transform input within the worksheet. And of course, we are going to be exposed to how to write a set query functions. So that is what, and at the end, after we have successfully computed a data set or frame, then we will now look at some of the database management tools or commands. In other words, there is what we call data collection, then what we call data management. All right, so the set of skills that we are going to learn in this session, I can narrow them to just two aspects: the data collection / formatting or transformation skill, and finally, the database or data management skill. So what is data entry in Excel? Is the process of imputing, updating, and organizing information in a Microsoft Excel worksheet. Simple as that. Simple as that. So if you claim that you are an Excel user, you are expected to know how to, put values together. You are expected to know how to make inputs on the sheets. All right, so that is why the topic is titled what? Data entry. So don't forget, there are 3 keywords that describe this whole exercise. The first one is imputing, which means to feed, to supply information into the worksheet. Updating, which means, management of that record or that data that will have been collected. And then, of course, in the process of collecting, there will be need for you to organize and to structure the data in a way that can help someone that wants to use it to call up any value that he or she wants to call out per time. So that is all about data entries. When you hear data entry, this is what it means. It is a job description of some users. There are job opportunities out there that will prescribe this particular topic, data entry personnel. Their work is just to develop, to impute data into the company Excel data sheets. Now, but before we go into that, we need to understand different types of data or values that can be imputed in the worksheets. And then we'll also take our time to understand some of the attached principles of handling or managing this type of data within the Excel spreadsheets. So the first category is tests, which in programming, we can refer to as string. Tests or string. Tests are character-based data type. What do we mean by that? When we say they are character-based data type, in other words, we are simply saying that these are alphabets. This is like the collection of 2 or more alphabets that forms a word. For example, names, Prosper is a string, Prosper is a text. So in other words, what we are saying is that in Microsoft Excel, strings are allowed. In other words, you can write, you can impute string, and Microsoft Excel is not going to reject it. All right? And there is no standard rule when it comes to casing. You can enter your string data type either in uppercase, that is lowercase, capital letter, or lowercase, which is what? Small letter. So Excel tolerates what? Whether it is small letter or capital letter. Then the second type of data Microsoft Excel sheet accepts is numbers. In programming, numbers can be integer and float. A number without a decimal unit in programming is referred to as integer. A number with a decimal unit in programming is referred to as float. So any of these data type or any of these two type of numbers are acceptable in Microsoft Excel worksheet. So which means that if I write 90.0 or just 90, that is an integer. Then if I write 90.5, most time monetary value, they are always in floats. So we need to understand that Excel accepts either float numbers or integer numbers. I hope I'm communicating. All right, so the next data type that Excel accepts is date. And date is a reserved word across all the Microsoft Office application, being it Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. It's a reserved word. So we are going to learn how you can format your date because it's a different types of data. It is not string, neither word, number. There, of course, we have formulas. Formula are pre-built functions, all right? They are pre-built functions that are expected to perform tasks, right? So just like you can see there, when you write equals to sum A1 towards A10, from the last class, you understand what is argument. So what we are seeing there as A1 to A10 is just a presentation of cell range, all right, which talks about where the range where you have the values you are summing up. All right, so that is all about our data type. I just wanted us to understand that the worksheet is for, is for managing record. In other words, it accepts input and it allows us to transform the input to allow us to perform all manner of calculations on some of the inputs. So that is why I wanted us to understand that all these data types can be imputed on a Excel sheet and they will not be rejected. Let me get a response if you are following, sir. I just want to know if you are here. Okay, so like I told you last time, in case you are not getting me, you can simply use the reaction button and then to notify me, because it looks as if you are attending to other things. You are not just in the class. I wouldn't want that to slow down the speed of the training. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, we have a very simple data structure that we want to emulate in this section. Now, the idea is this. We are talking about data entry. Now, anytime you want to collect data or data system in Excel, you need to understand certain principles. There are factors that need to be considered in order for you to have a successful data set. Now, you must understand the purpose. Why do you want to collect that data? You must identify the problem that data set is going to address. That is what will enable you to know whether you are to give a header date, or you are to give a header invoice number, or you are to label a header product ID. That is after you understand the particular challenge the company is facing that actually prompts this whole concept of developing a data system that can answer some of the questions that the company asks. So we need to understand that. So I'm just using this as a format, but by the time I switch to Excel, I'm going to probably use some of the field and also go beyond that. I just want you to know that this is an example of data structure. So this is a data structure. This is a tabular data structure with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 labels and how many records? 1, 2, 3 records. So we must understand something as we go into data collection. So you must understand that you must identify the purpose, because that is what determines the headers that will be generated. Because as you can see, each of these labels or headers, they are geared towards answering different words or questions, and they are there for a purpose, right? For example, the dates heading tells us when transaction takes place. Then the invoice number, they are unique, code for differentiating one transaction from other. And the product ID is a label that also differentiates the product. So you can see that each of these labels, they are actually communicating unique functions. So we need to understand that. All right. So with that in mind, now we are going to switch to Excel and see how we can develop a simple sales inventory control. Sales inventory control. How do we develop a simple sales inventory control? So now, the first thing is for me to know how to open up the application I want to use to create this inventory control system, which is Microsoft Excel. Now, in case you are not familiar, you can just click on the Start button, and then you are going to see it here. That will open it for you, right? But if you have pinned the icon on the taskbar, that could make it faster. So now, when you try to open Excel from the program manager, this is how it's going to open. So what we are seeing right now is an interface that is referred to as Get Started. So what is the purpose of this interface? So Excel actually presents to you and I this particular interface for us to be able to choose, because this is just like different interface, different working environment. So you have to choose which one of them do you want to use. All these ones you are seeing, they are presets. Preset means already constructed templates by Excel that can be of help, or that can help somebody to study one or two things before proceeding to the blank workbook for development. But in this case, on your own, you can take your time to just open any of them just to see what they constitute, whether they might be of help to you. But in this case, we are going through the blank because we want to develop the data structure from the scratch. That is why we are looking at what? Blank workbook. Now, once you have clicked, so this is the Excel interface. So in our last class, we have already explained the features that makes up Excel. In case you missed that section, you can go to YouTube and search for at Digitech Zeal. You'll be able to find that video. That video, I explained almost all the parts and their various functions. So this class, we are focusing on data collection. We are focusing on data collection. Now, so for that reason, like I told us, we want to develop a sales inventory. So let's assume that you are employed as a data entry personnel, or as a receptionist, or even as a secretary, and you are asked to document all your events. So, but in this case, we are developing a data system that can help a business owner to manage his or her transaction. All right. So this single project is going to explain those things we outlined earlier on that we want to achieve. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is to set up the worksheets. So what is worksheet setup? Worksheet setup means programming the sheets for data entry. Most time you need to know the setting required for a particular entry. but I'm going to work with random setting now, and I use the most used setting. Now, once you open Excel, Excel comes with default setting. So as you are seeing it, is already set up. But the issue is that we need to verify whether the default setup can actually enable us to go ahead with the type of data we want to create. So one of the way we will check, three things we are going to ensure that are properly set. We'll ensure that we are using the right paper size. We will also ensure that we are using the right orientation. And then, of course, we ensure that we are using the right margins. So now, how do we consider all these features? So you go to your page layout. So from page layout, you can see under page setup, you can see margin. So statistics have shown that most Excel user uses what? Normal. All right, so Microsoft Excel has already programmed the margin to what? Normal. So in case you want to alter it, then maybe you don't want to use from any of these three default, you can go to custom margin. So from custom margin, you can decide to impute your margin as you want it. But I just want to adopt the normal, which is the default setting, and proceed. Then another thing again, you need to find out whether it's properly set as default or not is your orientation. Orientation means the presentation of your data, whether it's going to be structured horizontally or what? Vertically. Now, there is a reason why you need to choose one of them. If the data set you want to collect or data system you want to develop has a lot of headers, then you might need to use what? Landscape. But if the data has just few headers, talking about the headings, you can just stay on what? Portrait. So by default, the application have already programmed the orientation setting to be portrait. So, but in our own case, we are going to switch to what? Landscape. Now, the moment that happens, you see that this broken line is what? Introduced, which tells us the boundary of one sheet, one paper rather, or one page to what? Another. So which means that when we start imputing values here, once your entry exceeds this dotted line, you should know that you have already what? Enter what? Another page. So if you go down, you see that Excel has automatically what? Divided the whole of that spreadsheet into a particular selected what? Paper size. So the next thing is paper size. So you need to know peradventure this whole data you want to create will be printed. So you need to know whether it's going to be printed with A4 or otherwise. So you need to choose. So by default, Excel has already programmed it on letter. So you have to change it to what? A4 if you want to go with A4. So I'm going with A4. So that's these are the three things you must what? Put in place or find out whether they are in the right setting before you proceed. And once you have done this, the next thing is for you to save, because you cannot afford to lose this setup sheets. So you have to go to File, and that is taking us to how do I save my record. So go to File and then choose where you want to save your record. So for beginners that do not know where to save information within your system, there are about two main recommended storages where you can save your work, depending on how you prioritize your security. So for this, I'm going to choose desktop. Now you go to browse, and then from browse, you choose, let's say I want to keep it on desktop, but I will consider desktop not to be safe enough, because as soon as the computer finish booting, and then the desktop will be what? Available to all users. So I would like to hide it a little, so I will save it in document. And then you have to give your record a unique name, which is called the file name. It's very, very important that you differentiate your record from one another by giving them what? Unique what? ID. So the type of data I want to create will drive or will determine the name. So we are actually preparing sales, let's say sales inventory. Sales inventory. So I can say sales inventory book. Now, remember, I explained to us the other time, if you want to password it, you hold on with the save and then quickly go to tools like we did last time, then select option and then give it your password. It can be just a single letter 1, and then you click on OK, then repeat it, click on OK, repeat it, then click on OK. So once it's accepted, then finally you click on save. So with that, we have already customized this particular workbook to a particular word name. Now, the next thing after you have set up the worksheet is for you to create the data word meta. The data meta means what? A section of your data system that describe the type of data you are creating. For example, in this case, I'm going to start with the name of the organization, and then followed by the address of the organization, then followed by what? The type of data system I am creating. Now, we have normal cursor text and we have graphic text. Now, for the name of the organization, I would like to use the graphic text. And what is graphic text? Graphic text is a design text that makes your text creative. So how do we achieve it? You go to insert. So from insert, you go to what? Text section. Then once you expand it, you are going to see word art. So from word art, you can choose from any of these symbols. These are like predefined style. So any one of them you choose, that is the form your text is going to take. So let's say I'm using something like this, and then I am asked to type my text while the text is still highlighted. So I'll type what? The name of the company, Digitech Zeal Hub. Digitech Zeal Hub. So now, remember, I told us that even as we are learning this, which is data entry, we are also taking advantage of understanding data formatting skill. Formatting means to change or transforming the appearance of your input. Now, this is the color this particular text came with. This is the size it came with. For one reason or the other, the size is too big and I'm not okay with the color. So the next thing I will do is how do I change it? That is formatting under data entry. So I'll come to what? Format. Once you are on that text, all these features will be available within your tab section. So I'll click on color. And when you are creating your data, please, you have to ensure your color scheme determine the set of color you are working with. So don't use too many colors. You can just flow with just one color. One color might just be enough. So let's say I'm using red so that you can see it very well. Then you can also prioritize the style, which is the handwriting. So these are most of the things we have learned from Microsoft Word. You can reduce the size, and then you can move it from the edge. So I'm trying to see if I can put it at the center. This is the width of the paper. In here, I don't want it to be on one side. So I can just take this up a little. Now, I don't want, there's a kind of reflection of a kind of yellow line or outline. So I want to silence it. So how do I go about that? I go back to the format. Then you come to text outline. Remember, this is how you are indirectly learning all these functions. So when you come here, you can say what? No outline. You can see that the red is more visible, right? So now, while you are doing this, you are saving. So the next meta information is the address of this organization. So the address, I can decide to use word art also. So let me use it so that you can get more used to it. Go to insert, select text, select word art, Then I'll choose this one or any other one. And then I'll say, let's say, data state. Let's say as our data state. Let's say as our data state. Now, make sure that the address is not bigger than the name of the organization. So you have to give that hierarchy. You need to ensure that determine the hierarchy of your entry. So now I'll make sure that then I'm going to work with red and black all through. Now, the next one is for me to specify the type of data system I'm developing, which is sys inventory. So I'll just press Ctrl D to duplicate that graphics text. To duplicate the graphics text, just press Ctrl D and then click inside, then press Ctrl A to highlight it. And then this is what let's say it's a monthly what sys inventory. So this can be June. Let's say June sys inventory. I hope you are following. If you can unmute and get back to me, fine. So I would also like to bold this particular one. Okay, so I also ensure that this is not bigger than the company name by reducing the size. Then I'll try and align it properly and then give some space. All right, so with this, I'm done with this session. Now, when I am through, I can decide to hide all these grid lines. But for now, let's just go with them. Now, the next thing is for you to create the field names. The field names are the headers that describe your data properties. And until you understand the type of data you are creating, or data sets, or data system you are developing, you will not have any clue. So the type of what field names to use. Now, this is sys inventory. So what is sys inventory? Sys inventory is a data system, right, that helps a business owner to manage his or her sales transaction. In other words, to track sales what records. So based on that, you now ask yourself, what are the details that a business owner would like to have? So a business owner would like to know the what? The ID. In other words, so that at the end of the day, he or she can know the total number of transactions per day or per month. So for that reason, I'm going to come here and say, okay, I'm going to start with what? Serial number. Now, each of the header you are creating, you must understand the question they are asking. This one is going to answer the question of how many transactions has occurred so far. Now, the next one, a business owner would like to know the date of transaction. That is what validates all transactions. So for that date, we come in here. So you can see how I am picturing the purpose, and that is helping me to know the headers. All right. So the next one, a businessman would like to know, would like to have some of the customer's basic information. Customer basic information. So that means that there will be a customer name. There will be customer name. I'm abbreviating to avoid expanding the column. For example, if I try typing names info, look at what is going to happen so that you can learn this. You see that this particular text has exceeded its boundary, and this is not right. So you have to trace it to the boundary and double click. That is how you can automatically what? Adjust the column. So why I was abbreviating is to avoid things like this. So I will just take it back and then go with what? The abbreviation. So I could just say customer name. Please, when you are abbreviating, particularly in this kind of situation, make sure that you don't abbreviate the two words. Because if I abbreviate the two words, for example, I have CN, it will not really go well. It will make it difficult for the data consumer to understand what that means. But serial number is, it's a popular ID. Now, or you can even say ID here. You can even turn it to ID. Now, the next one is still on the customer basic detail. We like to know the customer's gender, which it says. We also like to know the customer states. We like to know probably, let's say country. In fact, let me just stop here. You can go on the depend on what you want to collect from the customer. All right. So now, the next thing is we are still collecting customer basic information. After states this, okay, let's put their contact in case we want to reach out to them. Now, there's something you need to understand in the cell. If I try typing 0007069, sorry, that's not where I will talk about that because we are still creating the label. So I will just say contacts. Contacts. So this one a little bit exceeded its boundary, so you can just double click here to auto adjust it. While you are doing this, you are saving your work. So the next one is so I will assume that this is all about my customer details. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to highlight the whole of this section and give it a kind of a fill. And then the next thing I'm going to do, the whole of this section that covers my customer detail, I'm going to merge them together and title it. So once I give someone this data set, the person knows that, okay, from ID to contact is about customer information. So I will merge those cells. Merging means you are collapsing two or more cells to become one. So you come to this place, that is, you highlight the range of cells you want to merge, and then go to Home tab. From Home tab, then click on this drop down, then select merge across center. Merge across or merge and center. In other words, whatever value I'm going to type in that cell, I want it to be centralized automatically, not until I start coming for alignment. So that is why I'm going to go with this. So what do I want to put there? Customer. You can see the way it's put it at the center because I selected merge as center. So customers basic details, right? So now that settles that. Now I'll leave just one space here. I can just close this one a little. Then here I'll start with the product. Now I want to focus on the product detail because sales inventory data system comprises of the collection of customer information and the product they are purchasing details. Now, under product, I will just have PID, which means product ID. Then I can as well have product name, different from. So the same thing, you could have as well done customer ID before customer name is still allowed. Now, for products, I would also like to, so I'm working with the dates. I'm not going to repeat the dates, product name. Then I would like to know the quantity, how many of them, and at what rates. This is sales inventory. We're talking about the rate, how much is one. And then we also need to look at the total. The total, that is, we can say the total, can just put total. And then if, for example, you are giving some discount, so you specify that discount. So let's say we are giving a discount of 5%. So you type it 5, type discounts. You can abbreviate also. Then in the bracket, because that will aid my calculation or how to know the formula to use later on. So I will just specify 5%. Discount will be calculated. Now, once you give out discount, it means that the customer will no longer pay the real total. So it means you are generating another price, which is going to call, let's call it actual price. Actual price, which means we are going to deduct whatever discount we have given from the actual total. That will give us this. So never mind, we will adjust everything probably later. But let's get all the field defined. Now the next one is actual price. Now, if you are running a accrual type of business, that is, you are liable to pay installments, then you have to bring in what? Deposits. You have to bring in, but before deposits, let's say the transaction attract what? VAT. So why I am including all this, so that we will learn how to construct query function or formula to perform their calculation. So VAT, I'm going to go with Nigeria standard, which is 7.5%. Right now, I need to also adjust this a little. Then deposits, since I allow installment, it means that I will specify the first percentage. So which means that customer must pay up to 60%. So I will also do auto adjust here by double clicking. So now we have balance. We have balance, which means after removing the deposits from the actual price, that will give us the balance. All right. So now, I hope you are following, sir. Can I hear from you, please? Let me hear from you, just to be sure that you are.
Yes, I'm following. Just I missed that from the beginning. So please go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah, so you go through the video. So now, I would like to differentiate the whole of this section, describing my product and transaction detail with a different color, just to give a kind of focus. We're trying to make the data system easier for whoever is going to manage it. So now, and at the same time, you need to be conscious of your color. So I think I change this to align with one of the color we have used in our meta section. So if I'm changing this, it will require upgrading the right of color as well. Okay, let's say we are going with this. This might just be a good combination of color. All right, so now we have observed the third step. The first step is you set up your sheet. The second step, you define your data description. And then the third step is what? You develop the header, the field name. That is the order of data entry. All right. Now, I need to also define this just like I did here. I need to collapse all these just to specify that this pertain to transaction information. So I'll go back to my home tab and also merge. So I will say this is for transaction details, transaction. So whichever way you feel that better, transaction details. So in some instances, you can decide to give the whole of this, but too much formatting is not also good. Don't give too much style. You need to be moderate. This is very important. If not, it will not show that you are an amateur. When you have too many color, too many design, does not make you a professional. That's what I'm trying to avoid here. So let's start creating. The first step is to create the record itself. Now we have developed the field names, and the field names has already given us clue to the type of value to compute under each of the column. Now, anytime you want to know what am I expected to impute here, understand the label. This is ID. Oh, I'm to put what? Number 1, number 2. So you start with the first one. Now, in Microsoft Excel, Excel has an automated system that helps you to generate your number sequentially or serially once you have given it what? An example how you want the order to be. So why I type 1 is to tell Excel that the order of the number generation should start from 1. So once you have done that, you click on that one that you have generated, you will come to the dotted edge. Once this big plot touches that dotted edge, what happens? You see that it changes towards small plus. Now, that small plus means autofill, autofill. So you hold down the left button on your keyboard or your mouse, and then drag. Let's say for now, I want to stop here. So you can see Excel has automatically generated the number. But what happened? The numbers are not arranged serially. Instead, that function, that command duplicated the one. So how are you going to get it to what? To upgrade. You click on the make sure you are still selecting. Make sure you don't click outside. Then click on the icon beside the last number. So once you click on it, you are going to see field series. Once you click on field series, you see Excel will automatically what? Create the number in serial what? Form. I hope you get this. Let me hear from you quickly. Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
Good. So now, there's a challenge that can occur. Let's assume that you thought you are not going to have more than 12 customers. But in the process, you now have, that is, you have computed the whole of this row and you need extra numbering. What do? You click on the last one. Then you do that same thing. You navigate to the dotted edge. Then you drag from there. And then it will generate that same 12. Then you click on the icon beside the last number, then click on what? Face series. So that is how you can continue to what? To upgrade. So I just want to stop here because of time. Now, well, there's another challenge here. Remember, we talked about data organization, data entry, that definition. Remember, we mentioned what? Imputing, organizing. Right? Now, you can see that this information here, they are not properly organized. How do I know? Look at the position of the header. Compare it to the position, the alignment of the value. This is totally what? Unacceptable. This is not professional. So what you do is that, how do I align all this value to either maintain the alignment of the field or alignment of the field to align with what? The alignment of the value. In this case, I would like the number to follow the alignment of the field. And that is going to happen across. So now what I'm going to do is to highlight it, click on the first number, hold down the shift and the control button on your keyboard, then locate where you have the arrow button and press it. That will highlight all the values you have in that column automatically. So what I did now is a way of doing it in an advanced form. Ordinarily, basic Excel user will do something like this. You click on the first one and hold down the left button on the mouse and start dragging like this, start dragging like this. If the values are up to 1 million, before you get there, probably you must have what? Drop the selection. So the very best way to do it is just click on the first number, telling the Excel where you want to start from. Hold down the control and the shift button on your keyboard, then locate that arrow section, press the arrow button, depending on the direction. If I'm going this way, I will use the right arrow button. If I'm going down, I will use the down arrow button. And Excel knows where to stop. It can never exceed where you have value. Now, once you have done that, you go to your home tab. You see the whole of this is talk about alignment. Very important you understand this. We have horizontal alignment, we have vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, and vertical alignment. The kind of alignment we did now is vertical alignment. So these are for vertical alignment. So I'll click here. You can see that everything has moved. Right? Okay, so we understand that. Now let's generate our date. Date is a reserved word that I told you before. Date is what? A reserved word. A reserved word, which means that it is already programmed in the system. So let me just type, and the order of creating your date, please ensure the global format YYY and the MMM, then DDD, which means that what? Year, month, and the word day. So let's say 2026, then slash the very month we are, which is 6, slash today date is 18. So this is the standard date entry format. But you can see what is happening here. What is happening here is that Excel is not following that structure. So we are going to correct it, which is part of what you need to know. How do we format this in a way that it will give me that format that we use in entering it? That is where the year will come first, followed by the month, and then followed by the month, the day. All right. So how do we format that? Let me generate this. For now, I will just assume. Look at this. I will just assume. But normally, if it's a re-entry, you have to write the right date. Now, how do I format this? Now, there are several ways to format this. You come to Home tab after highlighting the range. But when you get to Home tab, you will see this option here. This option here. I hope you are seeing it. Let me move this out. You see this option here. That's currently showing you dates, which means that what is already in dates. So what I'm going to do is to go to control panel to change the setting. Or we can do it this way. You can do it this way. Just right click on any of that area that you selected. Then go to format cell. This is the shorter way. And then you can see what the format we are looking for here. This one has that year and the format we want. So I will just click. So that has automatically what? Corrected it. Either I go that way or I go through the control panel. Now that is settled. Now the customer name, you are supposed to generate them from the invoice or the receipts. But in this case, since we are just learning, I will just assume the names. In fact, even all these dates, you are supposed to capture them from the receipt. You are not supposed to assume them, please. It is very, very, very necessary that we understand that. Now, customer name, let me just assume that we have this Rita as our first customer. I would like them to be typed in uppercase. We have Rita. Let's say we have Jude. We have Peter. Now, to save my time and to also enable us to understand one of the logic Excel can use is that I have typed these 3 names and I want Excel to use the same order, use the same information to fill the remaining space. So you have to start by highlighting the 3 of them, and then you double tap here, and Excel knows what to do. Now, you are saying that you should, use that same name and the arrangement to fill up the empty, and that will stop exactly where your last number is. It can never exceed the number. So what is actually controlling it is wherever your number stop. Now says, let's say I'm using just letter M and letter F. So I want to use that same logic to save my time. I like both of them and double click, and the cell will automatically fill that. Then states. So I just want to use, I'm just assuming this to save our time. Let's say Edo, let's say Lagos. Now I will highlight 3 of them and also what? Double click. All right. So now contacts. Now this is where I want you to pay attention. If I type 07069665919, which is the number, in case you come across this video, you can use to WhatsApp me in case you want to order for your online training like this. So now you can see what happened. It automatically removed the 0. Some countries have their unique code. It might be that you are mandated to use that code. let's say plus something, something. So for you to write that, to avoid a cell removing this zero, then you are going to acknowledge that number as a string by putting this here. Just put this single quote, and that will allow the number to stay. Just that. I hope you understand that, sir, because this is very important. I want to make sure that you understand that.
Yes, please come again. This aspect, so please come again.
So what I am saying is that, let me look at it here. If you are entering contacts by phone number in a cell, you start with 070. Once you hit enter, it will remove the 0 in front, right? Now, I want that 0 to be there. So all I will do is to click on it and then come to, before you start the entry, let's say we don't have it at all. You want to include that 0. You type the string, this quotation, the single one, before the number. So let's say 07069665919. So once you hit enter, that is how Excel will retain that particular 0 in front. I hope that is understood now.
Yes, it's understood. But what a situation whereby you are trying to have the same number done like this in a cell form. You understand? And you find out that the number is not coming out the way you see it. You will now see 2, 3, 4 in most cases, and give you plus in between.
Okay.
And then you are now trying to expand it. Maybe it's because the place is too small to contain the number. So how do we go about that?
Are you talking about if you want to add the country code plus 234? Is that what you are saying?
No, for instance, no, that's not what I actually meant. So I think what I'm saying is this. I said situation whereby you have a data sent to you in Excel, and Excel, this number is showing in any other place. Maybe they send it to you through WhatsApp. You now try to copy it to Excel.
Okay.
And Excel is now telling you that cannot display the entire number. It will just show you 2, 3. It now show you plus, 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 plus. So then you now think to create more space. Maybe the number will now be okay, but yet the thing still remain the way it is. So how do we go about it?
What we are explaining now, I think until I see it, then I will be able to really understand it. Maybe one of these days, if you are coming, you show me.
Okay, sir. Go on, sir.
So now, I will just autofill. I will just autofill, and then just to complete that. So I'm done with the product aspect. Now I want to shift my focus to, the customer aspect, customer detail. I want to shift my focus to the product detail. So the product detail, probably the company must have given you the unique number, so ID. So I could say the ID is, just choose your format. So let's say P01 and then P02. So once you have given a cell this order, highlight both of them and autofill. Excel will automatically maintain that order for others. Excel will maintain it for others. So you don't need to waste your time doing it. Just give Excel the example of what you want. So now, product name, I will just assume some name of product. Let's say laptop, BDU, flash. So let's say I'm working with these 3 products to save our time. I will also autofill to fill it up. The quantity, remember I told you all these details should be captured from the invoice. Quantity, let's say 10, and I want a difference of 5, let's say, just for us to see, understand that logic. So I've given the 10, the next one 15, so the next one should be 20. So once I autofill, Excel know what to do. Now, the rate, how much is one going to cost the customer? Let me just assume 9,000. Let me just say difference of 1,000. I'm just assuming. So highlight both of them and also what or to fill. All right. Now, from here require what formula? So this is where we are now bringing in a set query construction. So a set query formula. These are formula that you create. These are not inbuilt formula like some. These are formula that you develop to solve your calculation problem. Just because you have discovered that you can't find any of the default function to answer or to solve the problem. For example, we are going to look at two things here. We have DF and then we have QF. Now, each time I mention DF, I'm talking about direct formula. Direct formula. Then each time I mention QF, I'm talking about query formula. So please take note of that. Now, whenever you want to construct query function, the word query means a function or a formula that we give to a set or that we use to ask a set to do something for us. So right now we want to task a set. That a set, all these, they are direct entry. What do I mean by direct entry? These are entries that do not require formula. We just simply imputed them on the sheet. Now, for the entry from here to balance, they are going to be calculated entries. These are entries that are derived with the help of formulas. So now, which means this is the aspect that involves query. You write a query formula. Now, before you write query formula, one key thing you must understand is the purpose. You must understand the communication. What is total? Now, the communication is that, let's say Rita wants to buy laptop. He wants to buy 10, and you have told him or her, you have told her that one of the laptop out of the 10 will cost her what? 9,000. And then Rita is asking you, so how much am I going to pay for the 10 of them? That is the communication. So once you understand it, you know that, oh, you are multiplying or you are dividing. Now, you start with equal sign. But before that, the direct formula here now for this total is going to be rate times quantity. So once you understand the direct formula, that will now guide you in writing the query formula. So which means that the arguments of rate, multiply it by the arguments of what? Quantity, will give us what? Total. So what is the argument? The cell where the values representing quantity and rate are located, they are called what? The argument. Now, you start with equal sign. You start with equal sign. That is the standard rule in Excel. You must always start with the equal sign, which means that you are entering a formula. Remember when we started, we looked at what? Our data type. I mentioned formula. Good. So now, once you have typed your equal sign, then you are going to reference the rate range, which is what? Where you have the value under rate, and then you now insert your operator. Your operator could be times, could be minus, which I categorize group under in that last class. I group them under logical operator, arithmetic operator, and relational operator. So what we need here now is what? Times. So you hold down the shift and press letter 8. That is times in computer. Now you reference the range of quantity. That is what? The cell holding quantity value, which is what? This. You click on it and then you press enter. So Excel will automatically compute the calculation for you. So this is the result. Now, the good part of Excel is that once you have used a formula in this kind of situation, to generate the first one, you autofill, and other ones will be calculated automatically. So how do you autofill? You just simply double click here, so that a cell has automatically what? Calculated orders according to their corresponding quantity and rate. Now, the next one is discount. So what is the formula for calculating discount? You need to understand the communication. All right, so we are trying to calculate for discount. So we have already defined the rate of our discount to what? 5%. So in this case, you are going to, your direct formula is that specified percentage, multiply it by the total. So which means you start by writing 5 and then shift and 5 to add the percentage sign. Then your operator is 3 times. Then you now reference the what? The total. So once, which means that you are calculating 5% of 9,000. So you press enter. So that is 5% of 9,000. So you also autofill for the rest. So now the next thing is the next one is price. The actual price, now that we have given out certain discount, so it means the customers are no longer paying that actual total. So we need to subtract this value from this value to get this. So equals to, you start with the highest value, which is this, subtract this. Click here, and that will give you for this, right? So now VAT, as we have also indicated, VAT is the value added tax, additional payments that will be added to the what? To the actual price for offering them what? The services. So we are also working with 7.5%. Insert your times and then reference it to the actual price. Because the moment you have given out certain discount from the total, you can no longer refer to that. So this becomes your reprice. So you also autofill. Now, deposit. Deposit is the first payment. So we have already defined that the customer must pay 60% and then of same actual price, right? And then we autofill. Then, of course, the last one is balance. So balance is the outstanding. So in this case, there are several ways you can calculate your balance. You can choose to calculate your balance in a way that you add this first, this plus, that is actual price plus the VAT. Then before you subtract the deposits they have paid. Or you assemble, you add actual price plus VAT in a separate column, and then you subtract this from it directly. So whichever way. So with this, we have successfully computed what? Our sales inventory. All right. So now what is going to happen is we'll go for a 5 minutes break. And then after that 5 minutes, when we come back, we are going to, when we come back, we are going to look at some of the calculations, some arithmetic calculation and some statistical calculation that could also be involved during managing your data. So it's not just entering it like this. There are other skills which we can group under data management skills, which we are going to look at in the next 5 minutes. So if you are on your system, you can start doing something for that. All right, so we are looking at the last aspects, Now we have been able to develop our sales inventory control system. So if we are to develop this for, let's say, supermarket, with this system, they will be able to, analyze their sales performance. All right. So now we are going back to this slide, and then we are going to start with, we want to look at some simple arithmetic calculations in Excel that could be involved, which still falls under data management skills that you need to have as an Excel user. So we're going to look at addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then division. So let's quickly dive in. Now we have this data set given to us, or we have created this. And now, supposing the company wants to know the total balance, how much, what is the total outstanding, what is the total balance, that you can decide to create another sheet. So I'll name this sheet, let's say this is database. Name this is database. Then we can have those informations in a different sheet. So that is kind of going to advanced. So let's do everything here. Now, let's assume the data entry has come to an end. That is, this database is not receiving further information. Then we are asked to compute the total of this and put it here, total of this and put it here, or somewhere else. So you can just come to somewhere here and say, okay, you want to create your maybe your analysis, your basic analysis somewhere else. So I can say, okay, this is total, I can say total balance. I can say total balance, right? Total balance. Now, here we are going to use summation function. Summation function is not query function. It's an inbuilt function already in Excel. So for you to activate it, you type equal sign, and then you type sum. Now, we want to add all the value here. We want to add all the values here. But at the same time, we want this section to be automated. That is what, when next record comes in, then the balance, once a balance value has been is imputed, to update this particular application. So for that reason, if I select it like this, it means that the next entry will not be calculated in that app. So if I want it to capture the future entry, what I'm going to do is to simply what? Select all the cells in that particular range. So hold down the shift and then press it to select everything you have there. Then by the time you press enter, then you have the total here. So in case tomorrow more information are entered, once value for balance is given, it will update this. So that is for summation. So let's say you want to do subtraction. For example, we are asked to subtract this deposit from this, because there are times within the worksheet you might be asked to what to perform all this calculation. So it can be a situation whereby you have a total of a particular value and you are asked to subtract another total from it, or one value from the other. So as a basic Excel user, you must also know how to sum up, how to perform both addition, subtraction. So let's go for subtraction. Let's say we want to deduct this value from this, and we want the answer to be here. So I can just say solved. I want the answer to be here. So I'll start by referencing that particular word. I'll start by referencing that particular, by putting the equal sign as usual, by putting the equal sign. Then I'll pick this. Now remember, I'm putting, after the equal sign, you have to put the sum. You have to put the sum. Now what comes inside the sum is what matters. Is what matters. So for the sum, I'm taking this and I'm putting minus, and I'm taking this. So though you consulted addition function, but the operator you are using, which is the minus, has changed its function to what? To give us subtraction. So you click. So why we are having the minus is because of subtracted a lower number, sorry, a bigger number from a lower number. So in the case of multiplication, let's say you want to multiply these two values or any other value, how do you go about it? So you provide the same sum, which is also allowed, and then you pick the first one, then you use multiplication operator, which is asterisk, and then you pick the second one. That is how to perform multiplication. Then for division, then let's assume we want to divide this by this. So equals to sum again. Go this way, take this, then slash is your division sign. Click on the denominator and then press. So that is how to perform a simple arithmetic calculation, right? So if you go further, we have how do we now perform simple statistical calculation. So there are still some basic statistics that can be performed on our data. For example, we want to find out the maximum value here. We want to know who is which customer is owing the highest amount of money here. So we can check, can say, okay, mass, that is the formula for mass. Then you highlight the range, and then press enter. So this is the maximum value, which is what this, and then you can trace it to the name. You find out who is that. Then we have minimum, which is for knowing the list. So equals to min is the function, and then we define the range also, right? So now we have, maybe you want to check the most occurrence, that is mode, and then you can come here, say mode. Let's see if we use which of the, let's say we use which of the mode we are going to use. Let me see. Okay, let me use any of this. So let's say we are checking for this. So we get error, that is the mode. Let's use ordinary mode. If this command is updated. Okay, so let me choose this. I think it's updated. Let me check because of time now. I'll troubleshoot it later and get back to you. Okay, so basically these are the major. If you want to do range, there's what we call range. Range does not have its own function in Excel, but the range is that once you know the maximum, you subtract the minimum from the maximum, that will give you range. So I can say range of this minus this. This is how we calculate range. That's the difference between both of them. So that is the range. Okay, so I think the next thing that we are to learn is database management tools. So we just spent a few minutes on this, then we'll bring the meeting to a close, and that means we have touched everything we advertised for. So let's play around some of the database management tools. So what do we mean by database management? Like you can see it here. These are features that helps users store, organize, manage, retrieve, and analyze large amounts of data in structured way, similar to database. All right, so now what we are focusing on here is filter and sort, which are very, very important to everyone that uses Excel for basic or for record management. So for example, I'm going to start with sort. The word sort means to arrange your values either in ascending order or ascending or descending order. Ascending order is from the least to the highest. Descending order is from the highest to the least. So for one reason or the other, if you want to know the highest balance, so which means I can derive that by just sorting the whole data based on the balance. So how do you sort? You don't include the header. You start from the body. So hold down the Control and Shift, then highlight it like this, and then use the down arrow button. It's only the body section, because if you include the headings, what will happen is that the heading might as well come down. So you don't need to. We have already defined the arrangement of the heading. We don't want to tamper with it. So highlight only the body of the data, then go to Data tab. From here, click on Sort. Don't select any of these shortcuts. This shortcut will sort your data based on the first ID, the first column. But in this case, that we are sorting based on balance, so we need to define under which column we want the order to be maintained. So that is why we have to click here, so that we will have a dialog box that will help us to choose sort by. Then you will not choose balance. Then you will not choose balance. Now, what is happening here is that probably the way we have, merged some cell. So now it means that you are going to trace the column. You need to know the balance column, which is Q. So from here, we are going for Q. Here is Q. So that is where you have. So which means that what? The values in that column, they are the values you are focusing on, because definitely you can't sort everything. There must be a particular column that you are focusing on per time. So this is where you choose your order. So if you choose, this is ascending order, this is descending order. So I would like this one so that I will see the highest. And then once you click, the whole values have been sorted, and at least you can see we now have the highest one coming at the top. So let's say I want to sort by product name. So this is going to work with alphabetical what? Arrangement. So the same thing, you click here, and then you identify that column where your column names are not showing. So most time the column name can show, so you can just pick it direct. But in this case, I need to know column F name, sorry, pin product name is I. So I'll come here, I'll change it from that to I, and then I'll choose, probably I'm going to go with A to Z, and then I click. So you can see that all these have also what? Be sorted. I hope you are following, because I want to take the next one before we bring the training to an end. Now that we have known how to sort, the last one is filter. Filter is also very important, very, very important to understand filter. Filter is one of the major database management tools. Filter helps us to narrow our view, our record view to a certain value within the data. For example, if we want to see only record where product name is equals to flash, company, for one reason or the other, you want to know, okay, you want to view only what? Flash. So you're going to filter by product name flash. So in the case of filter, it's not necessary you highlight all the record. Just ensure that your active cell is within the data range, not like here. It's not going to work because you are not within the data range that way. So you have to ensure that is within the data range. So how do you do that? Just click and then go to data also, then activate the filter. Just click here. So what a cell will do is to attach what? This filter icon to all the field within that area that you selected. Now, why a cell assign that command to all of them? Because it doesn't know which one of them will be used. So in this case, I know that I am filtering based on product name equals to flash. So this is the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to click here. You see all the unique products are displayed. So you uncheck this and then you pick only that flash. and then you click. You can see that at the moment, we can only see record where transaction or product name is equals to what? Flash. Now, something happened which you need to take note of. You can see that this filter icon carries additional funnel icon, which signify that that is where the last operation was carried out. So if you want to return everything, you go to that same place, then click on select, then click OK to return everything. So I can go again, I can say, okay, I want to filter by threshold value. Let's say I want to filter where values are greater than 30,000, where balance are greater than 30,000. So I will use this. And then in the case of filtering numbers, you see what happened here. So we have a lot of command. Instead of filtering with text, it's now what? Number filter. So remember, we want to see only balance greater than a particular value. So we want to see balance greater than, let's say greater than 30,000, like we say. You type it here. Don't say because you can view it and go and pick it from here. Make sure you type it. So let's say 30,000. So if you check now, we should be able to see only value. You will apply. All these value, are they greater than 30,000? Okay, almost all of them are greater than 30,000. So let's change this so you can clear it. So you can actually clear it by clicking on that filter. Now let's take it again. Values greater than, I think, what do I have here? I have greater than 100,000. Value greater than 100,000. Good. So you can see that with this, I've been able to filter out only what? That's a formation. So that is all about filter. You can see other command there. You can click here and clear the filter. Then if you are filtering under, so we have what we call filtering by color. So let's say I give the whole of this particular row a particular color like this. For one reason or the other, I am painting all this. But let's say this could be people that are owing me, and I want to view only people that are owing me. So if I go back to that filter command now, in this case, you can use any of the header because the color cut across all of them. So I can just do it here. Say, okay, filter by, then you now see additional option added, filter by color. So I could just choose the color that I want to, which is, right now we have only one color, which is red. I'll just click, you can see that I'm seeing only red. I can return everything. So that is all about filtering and sorting as a major database management function. Right, so thank you for joining. So in case you want to reach out to us for training on cybersecurity, data analytics, web development, Python programming, think of any major tech skill you want to learn, you can reach out to us on YouTube. Just search for Digitech Zeal Hub. You can also reach out to us on TikTok using this same handle, but you put dots in between Digitech and Zeal and Hub. Then if you want to follow me on my Facebook, just search for Eguero Prosper. You'll be able to see me there. Then you want to visit our website, just go to www.digitechz.com.ng. Then you want to WhatsApp me direct, just WhatsApp me at this number, this particular number. All right, so our trainings are organized live via Zoom. So hope to hear from you. Thank you.